Hi, my name is Jesse, and I'm the volunteer coordinator with the Friends of the Fells. And today I'm talking to you about the Trail Adopter program. Trail Adopters is one of our longest running volunteer programs. At the moment, it has almost 50 active volunteers that participate in it. Trail Adopters do the majority of the volunteer trail work that happens in the Fells, and also serve as the main eyes and ears for DCR and other authorities to know about issues that happen in the Fells. So first topic we'll discuss today are some of the basic tools that will get you through most, if not all, of the tasks you would do as a trail adopter. The two tools that you will use almost exclusively when you travel on the trails are a folding saw and a pair of hand clippers, just like this. These are my personal ones. I like the little folding one because you can easily put it into a pack and not worry about it. Another possible option is something a little bit more hefty like this. But these two tools should give you enough to do almost everything that you will come across without special equipment on the trails. If you come across larger issues, a saw like this, a bow saw, is another great tool for you to bring along. And if you're ever dealing with drainage ditches or flooding, a rake like this iron one will also be a good thing to have on hand. Although this isn't something you need to carry around with you most of the time, it's usually something that you would take when you know that there's a specific issue that you want to deal with. The other essential pieces of kit for you will be a pair of work gloves, a trash bag or two, a notebook, and a map or a cell phone.
Hi, I'm Forrest Chess, and I'm here to talk to you today about safety for when you're going out on a trail adopter session. There's a handful of things you always want to have with you and prepare for when you're going out. The first thing you should do is know where you're going, have a map, and make a route and a plan as to where you're going to be. The next thing you want to do is make sure that you've got water with you, because you always need water. Depending on the season, the time of day, and the weather, you're going to want to have sunscreen with you, and certainly bug spray will be helpful as well. Other things that you want to have with you when you're doing a trail adopter session is a cell phone. It's useful for emergency situations, but also it'll be useful taking pictures when you're doing reconnaissance of things in the trail that you want to report. You're also going to want to make sure you're wearing appropriate clothing. It never hurts to have rain gear with you if you're expecting any weather. For longer trips, you also might want to bring a first aid kit, especially if you're taking a group out. And you should always be aware of what poison ivy, poison sumac looks like, and check when you get home for ticks.
Preparing for your trail adopter trip is important not only for safety, but it's also important for reporting after the fact. Trail adopters act as the eyes and ears of the Fells, and what that means is that there will be times when you'll come across issues that you're not equipped to handle. In those cases, you want to know where those issues are and be able to report them back to us and to DCR as efficiently and accurately as possible. Additionally, trail adopters act as the main scouting group for the issues in the Fells, which includes both issues and also non-issues in the Fells. Many times people will take trail adopter trips scouting an area and find no problems whatsoever. In cases like that, it's just as important to be able to report back to us in DCR places that are clear of issues as it is to fix issues. After any trail adopter trip that you do, you should use the trail adopter form that's found on our website to report where you were and what you did. That form will go to us and to DCR so that they can act on any issues that you find. Because such a major part of trail adopters is scouting, anytime you're in the Fells, whether you have a tool in your hand or not, you can consider that trail adopting. If you decide you want to take a hike, even if it's not in an area that you're signed up for, feel free to report back to us if you found a place that's clear. Having a map and knowing where you are is easy enough to translate into a report that will be very useful to us.
When doing trail adopter work, please use the DCR map, typically available at the kiosks, and also downloadable from the DCR website. The advantage of the DCR map is that it has the intersection points, which are useful for identifying locations when submitting your reports.
There are two types of trails in the Fells that you'll be working on. One are the single track, which are mostly used by hikers, and you can be very conservative about your brushing out when you're on those trails. You want to cut down anything that will obviously be in somebody's face, make them have to duck out of the way or move off of the trail. You also want to cut anything that has thorns on it that would catch on people's clothes. But otherwise, you can leave a lot of what you see as long as it's not impeding people's path a lot. On the other hand, you have the fire roads in the Fells, And when you're taking care of these trails, you do want to keep in mind that not only will hikers and bikers be using this, but they will be emergency access areas. So if you see an impediment that somebody could easily walk around, but an emergency vehicle like a truck might have difficulty getting over, that's a major issue that either you should help assist in trying to get off the road or report to DCR and us to take care of. This log is a perfect example. If this was further off in the road, this would be no problem for anybody hiking to walk over, but in case of an emergency where they needed to get a vehicle down here, this could cause them to have to turn around and not get to the emergency quick enough.
So here we find an example of where a tree branch hangs a little too low in the trail. We want trails to be about 3 to 4 feet of clearance width-wise and about 8 feet of clearance height-wise. I'm 6 foot, so you can see that this is just barely at my height. And if you think about summertime or wintertime, there could be snowfall compacted and be walking as tall as a foot higher off the trail where it is now. Also, the snow and the rain will make this branch weigh down a little bit heavier too. So we want to take this off, and when we cut a branch off, we want to go as close to the place where it comes into the way of the trail. So we're going to walk over to the branch here and find this spot where it comes off of this larger branch, and we're going to cut it right at that corner there. Once we've got the branch down, we want to take it and clear it from the trail, somewhere where it's not an eyesore. So carefully we'll walk a little bit off trail and throw it out of the way.
Here's a perfect example of a small branch that's overhanging into the trail that you can easily clip with your hand clippers. Here's another example of something that's in the way. To cut something like this, you'd usually want to try and find a spot where it juts out from the main plant. And even that one little cut, this looks okay now.
Here we have an example of a hazard. This leaner is dangerous naturally. At some point it's going to want to fall down, but also it's way too big for us to take down ourselves with a saw safely. So this would be an example of a hazard that you would want to report to Friends of the Fells and or DCR. Here we have evidence of a rogue trail. A rogue trail is a trail that's not officially sanctioned and is made by users unofficially. We don't approve of these, and we want to cover them up. First thing you want to do is check with your map and make sure that the trail that you think is a rogue trail is indeed a rogue trail. If you know what trail you're on and the grid intersections you were at most recently, you ought to be able to tell if this trail is on the map or not. This also looks pretty derelict and like it's probably not a real official trail anyway. So what we'll do is we'll get some branches and other leaves and debris from around the area and rake some detritus over the path, and then put some branches and kind of lace it up to make a little nest and blockade to close off this opening to the trail. First thing we'll do is take a rake and pull some detritus and leaves on top of what appears to be a trail. Next, we'll put our rake down safely and get some bigger branches to put on top of that and try to cover up, make a little blockade. And at this point, I think it looks pretty well brushed in. Nobody's going to want to walk in here. It doesn't look like there's a trail there, and hopefully people will stop using it. So here we are at a four-way intersection that has blazes. You might be able to see there's white blazes, and on this side of the fells, that means it's the Rock Circuit Trail. We know from the map that we are presently, this here is the Wyoming path. So both these trails have names, which means that there ought to be a grid ID intersection marker at this intersection. There is not. Also, both these trails have names which would allow the opportunity to have a trail sign name saying Rock Circuit Trail or Wyoming Path. And again, neither of those signs exist anywhere at this intersection. We want to walk up and down each of the four little ways and just make sure it's not present anywhere. And once we've done so, this would be a good opportunity to report to Friends of the Fells that there's missing signage. Here we find a blowdown that's fairly large. Not only that, but there's blazes on some of the trees that have been blown down. So this is another opportunity to report to DCR that there's both a tree that's too big to saw. If you came closer, I'll show you that this is pretty wide and not capable of being sawed without a chainsaw. I couldn't do this with my bow saw or a friend and their bow saw, so we'll leave this for DCR. And of course the blaze that's fallen here now as well is important and should be noted.